We're live.
Hello. Welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 524. I am Otto. Tonight I'm joined with Jared.
What's up, guys?
And the future Baltimore mayor in 2026. That would be the return, Mr. Alex Schlegel.
Dude, good to see you guys. It's like been a while. Been about 3 weeks. Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Finally got set up, new studio here. And man, moving sucks, man. You don't realize how much stuff you have until you actually have to like box things up and figure out what to do with things and what do you do with this? Oh, the worst is like going through like kind of sentimental stuff like your mom or like parents or family gave to you, and it's like,
yeah,
cool. What am I gonna do with like all of this box of newspaper clippings or artwork from 6th grade or 5th grade or just stuff like that, but yeah, just getting rid of just realizing you have a lot of stuff and you just got to get rid of it. Donating a lot, taking a lot to many like second chance stores, secondhand stores, donating clothing to shelters, a lot of stuff because man, but finally getting settled in. So glad to be back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back.
Yeah.
And special guest on the show. I don't know if you can hear us. Captain Kickass. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. There we go. It's a little lagging, but we got you. I think we see you sound all right. So we just had James on. We just had James on, but he's in the middle of a parking garage right now, so he'll be on in a little bit. So
I mean,
James,
parking's important, right?
I guess so. He's on his way home,
at some
so
point.
yeah. So you can't podcast and drive, I guess.
It's fine.
Yeah, he's been wanting to have you on for a while, and he's super excited. So why don't you tell everyone who is Captain Kickass?
Boy, that's a loaded question.
We got plenty.
Let's start with the full title because I haven't said the full title in, I don't know, since like May or something. It is the world famous, authentic Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass Buckshot Esquire, if you will, LLC.
Wow, that's quite the title.
LLC, jeez.
I don't even know how we're going to fit that in the title.
Yeah,
I mean,
we didn't try.
Yeah. we might shorten it.
I tried to type it into the subtitle under my name there where it says, you could do a thing. My catchphrase, if you will, is captain of himself, because that's what I think everybody should be. Everybody should strive to be captains of themselves. And if we were all just individuals, more so, dealing voluntarily on an individual basis with every other human being we come into contact with, our lives would be so vastly improved that it would rival anything imagined, like to the Jetsons era and beyond.
I can jive with that.
Yeah.
So how do you know Babs? How does he know you?
It's funny. I've been thinking of nicknames for him. The Babmeister. Like if he's going to hell, he'll be Babylon with 2 B's, right?
Babylon.
Yeah, I keep bumping into him at things like court hearings for Ian Freeman or New Hampshire Free State Project events. I was at Pork Fest this last year, and Brian Becker was like, dude, you're invited to this thing. It's called Enemies of the State. You're totally one of them. Come and meet all these other awesome people who are, doing media and otherwise trying to tell everybody, hey, freedom is what we should all be focused on instead of, let's fix the government and, all this other crap. It's like, no. We're, we need to be myopic, right? In my opinion. And somehow we've got to change everybody's modus operandi into freedom first, in my opinion.
But what about the roads?
Muh.
Roads.
MUH. I've been using that in text. Like when I text somebody, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be late for my appointment.
It just now slipped into your vernacular, like all of us.
People are like, what the fuck?
It's not even being
Thinking of,
ironic, it's just
naming
common
a.
use.
If I ever start another heavy metal or rock and roll band, I'm thinking about the potential band name Muh.
Just
That
muh.
would work. Yeah.
I like it. Yes. Where are you up in New Hampshire? I mean, you were on. Are you still on Free Talk Live? Are you based out of there, or where are you based out of?
Yeah, that's a great question. I moved. I'm originally a Wisconsin kid. I have some, let's just call it unresolved family issues. You can take that any way you want. That I felt I needed to attend to. I felt I was sort of being called to come back home for a while. So I'm back in the land of beer and cheese. Although I brought Bruce Banner here with me, my Anarchy banner, because he's been my friend for quite some time. So that's where I'm based out of now for the moment. What was the second part of your question?
Free Talk Live. How'd you get started with that?
Oh yeah. So yeah, obviously it's a good question. I attempted to move to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, or as a result of them just existing. I don't really like to sign things, so I didn't sign, but I was going to move there. I attempted to move, and I failed miserably. And this was probably 2019, 18, 17, 2015, I think it was. And I crashed my car. I rolled the trailer that I was towing behind my 4Runner, flipped the thing over a few times. The back doors opened and scattered my earthly belongings all over the side of the freeway. I didn't even make it out of Washington State. I was coming from Seattle. And so I, sort of humbly went back to Seattle, where I had some sort of a support system, i.e. friends and places I could crash. I didn't know anybody in New Hampshire at the time. I didn't want to pay to come out there and then be like, yep, I totally need to come, and then have to come all the way back and then go back out there again. I was just going to go sight unseen, single dude, no family. I didn't even have a dog or anything, no goldfish to transport. So I thought, okay. And so I tried and I failed. And so I had to hightail it back to the Seattle area, wait for the insurance to kick in, buy a new car, get a new job, get my own apartment again, and sort of rebuild from what I had just experienced. And so it was 5 years later, 2019, that I kind of just repeated the experiment, except this time, instead of driving with a trailer, I paid for these U-Haul style pods where you just put your stuff in.
Oh, yeah.
They come and get it and send it across country for you. And then I flew. And so I made it without incident. I sort of just airdropped myself into Keene, New Hampshire, because I knew that's where Free Talk Live was based out of. And Adam Kokesh was on one night. I'd been in Keene already for almost a month and had yet to meet a libertarian in the wild of Keene, New Hampshire, on my daily stuff that I was doing, whatever, going to the store and walking around town every day, because I didn't own a car when I landed. So I lived kind of near downtown, so I just walked back and forth all the time. And then I saw Adam Kokesh was on Free Talk Live. I had helped Adam book a couple of venues for his book tour in the past when he came through the Seattle area. And so I had his cell phone number. I texted him. I'm like, dude, I'm in Keene. He's like, well, get your ass over to the studio. And I'm all naive, right? I'm like, well, is it okay with those guys? Did they get, permission and all this kind of stuff? And he's like, dude, you wouldn't be like the first libertarian to just sort of show up on the front porch unannounced, like, okay. So, show finishes. I get introduced to Ian and Mark and Adams in there. And Ian just looked over at me and he goes, hey, you look like a guy with some opinions. You ever do any radio? And I was like, oh, if you're saying you got an empty seat someday, yeah, I'm totally down. Give me a shout. And so, I pulled up one, I think it was like a Tuesday night, probably the least listened to a day of the week for Free Talk Live. Yeah, I mean, callers called in, like, it's the Harley guy. I don't even own a Harley. All sorts of fun things ensued. They found out that, yes, indeed, I do have personality. And the next thing you know, I'm like, the third chair or the first chair. So if Ian's Grand Wizard number one, I probably shouldn't call him Grand Wizard. If he's Wizard number one, his technical knowledge is way up here. Arya would be Wizard number 2, and then I'm like, Wizard number 3 as far as tech knowledge, as running the show goes. And then Mark Edge is somewhere like, way down below the last numeral that you could get to. Mark just is not gifted in the ways of tech.
We just had Mark on.
Yeah, we just had
a
him
few
on.
episodes
Does that
ago.
answer your question?
Yeah.
I actually watched that episode. I watched that episode this morning having coffee because I missed it. And
Nice.
he sounded all right, but he got better as the thing went on. He kind of figured out what was going on. And I kind of had a chuckle over it. So there you go. Sorry, Mark.
I'm sure he'll forgive you.
Yeah. So
now that you're back, so with Free Talk,
we'll see.
is that now it's weekends, right? So are you still doing stuff on the weekends for them? Is that?
I am no longer involved with doing the show Free Talk Live. I mean, I'm still friends with Mark and Ian and all that kind of thing. And many people have asked, hey, why don't you call in one of these days? And I'm like, I don't know. It seems so weird to be back on the other side of that. So I haven't called in, but I keep getting messages from listeners, some of the chronic listeners we have. They'll go to my website, which is captainkickass.com. If you scroll to the bottom, there's a field you can fill in. You'd be like name and message, and it'll get to me eventually. It takes a little while. I got firewalls and that kind of thing, but it'll get to me eventually. I got one from I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He sounds like Foghorn Leghorn, but he's like, "Hey, Captain, we miss you on the show. Call in sometime, will you?" That was the whole message. I'm like, "Aw, that's so cool."
Rad, man.
Well,
go ahead, Otto.
no, I was just
where do you
gonna
want to
say,
take us?
I wanted to so we talked about your move. So you haven't been here a few weeks, Alex. What with your moving? I see you're looking. You got the Baltimore mayor thing on there. Is this something you're seriously considering? I want to get this on the record now.
I didn't even put that on there, but thanks. But maybe I don't know.
I don't know because I want to see how dedicated you are because this led to something in the beginning of before we started recording. How you still need to kind of make up for the fact that you claimed that the election was not going to happen for 2 years.
Yeah, I guess I was a little off on that prediction. I think that Q prediction was a little bit off. I don't know, maybe the USAID funds were dried up and Q is, who knows? I don't know, but I was off with that prediction. I didn't think there was going to be an election this year, to be honest. I mean, I thought there'd be some fuckery. So I guess I got to make up for that. And because of that, I will, I don't know, maybe I'll run for mayor if I'm still
There
here.
we go.
In another year and a half, I'll run for mayor of Baltimore City. And just, it'll be an epic troll campaign.
Yeah.
With some seriousness
Let's
of
harken
the
back
issues.
to when Bab ran for treasurer.
Yeah.
Let's use that as our inspiration.
Yeah, I think that's we definitely Babs will be my mentor and many others.
Your advisor.
He'll be my campaign advisor.
Yeah.
But man, I tell you, dude, did you just hear? So the Maryland 8 Attorney General. So we're all Captain Kickass. We're pretty much all Maryland based, with the exception of Babs. But the Maryland Attorney General just sued, along with the city, Baltimore City. They're suing Glock because of the Glock switches, where you can easily modify a Glock, where they can shoot thousands of rounds a minute, turn it into a machine gun, just all this fear porn shit. And
which is also, I mean, the little device, which is that little paperclip looking thing, right?
Yeah.
That thing can work on any kind of semi-automatic handgun.
Allegedly.
They're just going after Glock because
and they're saying, oh, they're negligent because I mean, this is how dumb Brandon Scott is. He's like, it's literally called a Glock switch. It's like, dude, Glocks are the most popular handgun. No shit.
Yeah,
it could be called whatever the fuck. Like no one it's called a Glock.
The Taurus switch. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, it's not called a Taurus switch. Yeah, he literally said that. He's like, it's not called a SIG switch. It's not called a Taurus. He's like, it's called a Glock switch. This is a serious problem. I'm like, dude.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the one kind of like, I don't know. I wouldn't say, well, yeah, it's normie talk radio. So of course they're kind of like statist, obviously. But the one kind of had a little pushback. He's like, yeah, you're suing a lot of companies, Baltimore City. Like, are you ever concerned? Like, a lot of these businesses won't want to do business in the city anymore. Just kind of put like,
they sued Kia or Hyundai.
Yeah.
Same company, but they sued them because their cars were getting stolen.
They made them too easy to steal.
Yeah, they made them too easy to steal. So it's like instead of actually addressing the
there's a bunch of degenerate youth around here stealing people's property. Maybe let's try to stop that.
It's like they're not stealing that shit out in Carroll County,
No.
At least not as frequently.
Dude, it's so blatant, man. My coworker, one day he was like, "Hey, Alex, I'm running a little late for work," and he works afternoons and evenings. He teaches the afternoon or night classes, and so I was like, "Everything all right?" He's like, "Yeah, everything's cool. Just ran into a little police, issue." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Thinking like, "Oh no, did you get like pulled over or something happened? Whatever the case may be." But he came into work, and he's like, "Holy shit, look at this!" And he was about to leave work. And he has his motorcycle, but he has it covered because it's wintertime. So he's it under a tarp, and he sees like a car kind of driving slow, and he's just like, these do look a little shady. And so he circled the block, just kind of sat there, and he's like, "Hey, you look for something?" He's like, No. And then just kept kind of driving slow. And then they spotted like a Kia about halfway down the block. Maybe it was a Hyundai, because Hyundai is another car that's easily to steal. Dude, they just broke in, broke in and stole this car in broad daylight with like 1 o'clock, 1 in the afternoon, around noon, like just broad daylight, neighbors all about. It wasn't like, I don't know, like not in the hood of Baltimore, but decent neighborhood, just blatant, just gone and not a thing. Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, I just stayed back." But my neighbor's like, "Yeah, they got the plate numbers and everything." They call, but it's like, this is ridiculous. So yeah, sue the car company. Happen? What's that?
They just watched it happen?
Well, yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was already down the block by the time the car pulled out. It was too late. It was gone. Like they did it that quick.
Yeah, I mean, they can do it really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Like I told you, like my mother-in-law's Kia got stolen from outside of my house while we were at the while we were at the Billy Joel concert.
Damn. Well, didn't Kia and Hyundai get sued by the insurance companies because their cars get stolen so easily?
They got sued by Baltimore, and before you came on, we were talking about how Baltimore is now suing Glock because of the Glock switch.
Thanks.
The Glock switch.
Why is it not shooting accurately?
Yeah, right. That should be the only reason that it gets sued.
I mean, as a libertarian, I don't believe in government consumer protection, but if they want to make sure the Glocks are all like firing regularly and straight.
Yeah, let me pull up. Let me find the docs here.
Did we lose Captain Kickass? I think.
Yeah, he dropped out.
I mean, his connection was pretty bad. So
yeah, it was lagging a little bit of a lag.
Did he do a reboot?
I told him he might be doing a reboot. I don't know. He didn't message us though, did he?
Sorry, I'm late. By the way. Hi.
Don't apologize to us. Apologize to.
That's James Babb, everybody.
I'm apologizing to our loyal fans.
Is your microphone on? I don't know.
Probably not through the computer. Yeah.
Yeah. Here.
He's all disheveled.
How's that?
There
Perfect.
You go.
There's the booming Babs voice we've all.
Man, I've been at it all day. Got stuck at the mall. Like literally
get stuck at the mall.
trying to take care of some kind of last minute Valentine's Day stuff.
Oh, jeez.
Ah,
That's what happens when you wait till last minute.
corporate
Dude.
holiday.
I'm
Dude,
going
I'm-
out tomorrow morning to do it.
I'm getting on a plane. I'm getting on a
That's
plane
why I
to
use
Puerto
Amazon
Rico
Prime
tomorrow
for.
morning. I'm
What?
out of here. I'm out of here
Nice.
for Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Puerto Rico. Where are you staying in Puerto Rico?
Right by the
Hyatt,
beach.
No, but like,
somewhere
what part
down
of,
there.
What part of Puerto Rico do you know?
Like
Lord
the,
of
kind of
mercy.
the north central coast, west of San Juan a little bit.
Cool.
You guys been to Puerto Rico?
Nope.
Yeah, I was there for a wedding. Damn, how long ago was that? 5-6 years ago?
Bastard.
It was fucking awesome. We stayed in a mansion.
Oh,
That's
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
I took the family there a couple times, including my mom. We actually saw the Arecibo Observatory. Do you remember that thing? That giant radio telescope. You see it in like James Bond
Oh
movies.
yeah.
Big dish in the jungle, which collapsed like 2 years ago.
Oh,
How to
shit.
collapse?
Yeah.
What happened?
Hurricane?
Just I guess Puerto Rican maintenance. I don't know.
Damn, dude.
The trash on the island consumed it.
They didn't make Puerto Rico great again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
it's
I mean,
a shame. This
I mean, when
thing
I
was
went there-
impressive.
When I went there, it was like, so remember they had that hurricane there. I mean, I'm sure they've had a few, but the most recent.
I was
one.
gonna say, like, narrow down.
So it was like maybe a couple years after that, and like it was still like devastated as shit down there. Like we were just like driving through from the air. Like you take the ride from the airport, like where the airport is, looks like a fucking like total like third world shithole. And then you get out, and then you kind of get out to open
Well, look,
area.
I mean, Puerto Rico's not the nicest island, but third world shithole.
I mean, wait till you're leaving the airport, dude. If you're flying into San Juan, like just wait till you see what it looks like. Like,
Do you
right
think
in
it's
the city.
still is it still devastated? I mean, I know they don't have like disaster management for shit, but
I mean, I remember. So this was once we got out of like the downtown area. The downtown area just looked horrible too. But then we're just driving by, and like I remember just seeing this house where like half the house was destroyed, and there's just like some dude just like sitting on the floor, just like drinking like a bottle of liquor, just like
that's the life, man. I'm telling you. And it turns out it was Peter Schiff.
Turns out they're starting a new libertarian colony in Puerto Rico.
all right. I think Captain has
Captain
come
Kick-Ass
back in
gonna
here.
try again.
Captain, are you there? Hold on. Let's
Captain.
You go video off. That might help.
There he
Let's
is.
see. Oh,
Wait. Who?
hold on. Who's doing it?
I'm
doing
gonna.
what?
This could be like intentional jamming from the deep state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain Kick-Ass.
I think he's still a little delayed.
You know,
Yes.
it serves me right. It serves me right for talking shit about Mark Edge not being a tech friendly guy, and then now here I have all this tech trouble. I'm not even sure what's going on. Everything's allowed, right? I'm like 2 feet away from. I am on Wi-Fi to my chagrin, but I'm 2 feet away from the Wi-Fi device. This headset, I do pro voiceovers with this headset. It sounds great. I sound great. Like, I don't even know what the problem is.
Headset sounds fine. I think it's just like
Yeah, it
internet
sounds
connection.
okay, but the
Yeah.
video is like a little laggy and out of sync. I'm gonna say deep state interference. Who knows what they're trying to do to prevent this. Welcoming Captain Kick-Ass onto Punk Rock Libertarians. It's so
Yes.
great to have you. Maybe you can reduce the video resolution
Hey, thanks.
in the
Did you
controls.
get my rant about 390?
Or just turn it off. We could just go audio.
Yeah, you might want to just go audio only. Despite your good looks, the audience can just remember.
Let's just-
Or you
Let's
just put
see.
a picture of it.
Yeah, let's see if that gives us any better bandwidth.
Try that.
Oh, we
Yeah.
got
Is there a
Thomas-
lag on your
We
end?
got Thomas from Lieberland giving us a shout out.
Yeah,
So
what's up, Thomas?
Righteous.
Lieberland.
Yeah, man. Remember we had them on the show?
When are we going?
I was in the basement. Yeah, back in the day.
When are we
Yeah, that's
going to
fun.
Lieberland anyway?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I want to
Can
go.
you get there? Like, how do you? Like, what passport? do you need to
Something
get to
happened
Lieberland?
recently, and over the past, like they went and had a party there, and then also like the authorities came and like shut it down.
Well, are
Like,
they? They're
cracked
still
down.
like they still have to stay on like the water, right?
I think, and some
Like I don't
people
think they're
got
allowed
on
on the
land.
land currently.
I don't
At
know.
least last I checked in. Maybe we'll have to
Now-
bring Thomas on.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the story of Lieberland was this patch of land between two countries that neither side
Mhm.
wanted. And then
Croatia
some
and-
libertarians said, "We'll take that," and then they're
Yeah.
like, "No, you won't."
But the people
Well,
there
it's
are
like,
like,
disputed territory, but it's
Yeah.
it's like a DMZ basically, right?
Yeah,
right, because the people who live there, I think it's Serbia and Croatia, or it's
Yeah.
I
It's
forget.
Serbia, Croatia, I'm pretty sure.
And so they were like, the people who live there went to go pay their taxes, and they were like, "That's not us. You don't live in our land. Like, that's not us. That's the other country." And they went to both sides, and they're like, we don't know we don't know where we are.
this is like the ultimate situation that a libertarian could dream of.
And then they did, and then all of a sudden the authorities started like, "No, not like that. You can't do that." Hold on, let me see what country. I'm sure it's not.
Oh no.
They sell digital passports.
But I mean, you can't like there's no airport there, right? Like you can't just take a plane from BWI to Lieberland, right? You got to land in like Serbia probably.
I think you have to drop in by parachute.
You got to parachute in.
Yes. Yep.
You got to hire like a private plane from
Or you had to have to like bribe the Croatian Navy or something. I mean, I'm just making it up. Maybe somebody could tell us what we really have to do to get there. Cause I want to go. I mean, since I heard of it, I want to go. And if they're having troubles, we should all go.
Let's make it our mission to get there in 5 years.
5 years. Well, I'm a lot older than you. I don't have that
Okay.
much. I
Your
don't have
time
that much
horizon's a
sand
little
in the
short.
hourglass left. Like I gotta.
All right, let's say 2 years.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I think we earned a citizenship by having them on our podcast and taking them out to play foosball with Matt.
I mean, I think you get citizenship just by like buying their crypto or something now.
You have to buy the shit coin to get a passport. Damn it!
I should ask Vit. I think he would come on.
Man,
I know a
sell,
bunch of the other guys would come on.
I could sell some of my Melania coin.
Melania coin.
How's that? How's that looking
Yeah, how's
nowadays?
that
What's that
looking?
up to,
Let's check
Babs?
the chart.
I'm a hodler for Melania. Like I'm not gonna even. I'm just holding it. It's gonna be intergenerational wealth.
So Vit will be at Anarchapulco. So and he's always around. I think I missed him last time he came to the United States, but I would totally like to hang out with Vit again. They were fucking fun as shit. That whole crew was
Yeah.
awesome. That was a fun podcast.
Yeah, then we went to what's that bar that was on the
Ops.
street? Ops.
With
Yeah,
the
we went to
foos
Ops
table.
with them.
What Bergman put like 10 credits and no effects the decline on.
Yeah.
Dude, it got to the point where they had to take that off the magic touch because that's all like Bergman would put on.
Well, that's what my buddy does different. So now you can do a touch tunes, and you don't even have to be there.
That's
And
terrible.
so my buddy Steve,
You don't have to be there.
what he does is to
Why would they
harass.
allow that?
So he harasses my one buddy. Paul works at it's Jennings right here in Gainesville. Or that's where he used to work. And so Steve is my other friend. He wasn't even there. He would literally load up for an hour or plus of just playing Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA.
Oh, God.
And there was nothing they could
Dude,
do
that
about
is
it because he.
Sweet. Well, what other can you
you
pick any
override it, though?
tune, or you have a limited library, or how does that work?
It's like almost an unlimited library, but he
I mean,
just
could you
kept
put on
putting
like
that
children's music or like
People had to
folk
pay.
music? It's something horrible.
Yeah, so people had to pay, I think, to like jump it, but only once. But then he had it on for like an hour. Like he dumped like $50 in there just to mess with them. So much that they decided they unplugged touch tunes. They had to unplug it. That's hilarious.
They should you should be able to like ban IP addresses, you know?
Oh wow, this is so much better.
Oh,
Cat
man.
okay.
kick
Loud and clear.
ass. Thank you.
Can you
So
hear us?
yeah, I can hear you
Yeah.
fine. I can see you all fine. The camera on this particular machine is, well, it's not going to work. So I joined audio only. I changed my avatar. I don't know if you can see it. That's a T-shirt that I used to own for the longest time, and it states "World's Greatest Motherfucker."
Fuck
Nice.
yeah.
So yeah, this machine, I don't even know. I think this is maybe like a Windows 7.
Oof.
I'm not sure. It's older than dirt, man.
Yeah.
It's got like such an old version of Chrome on it that it's like, hey, you can't upgrade anymore. There are updates available just
that's
for
all.
you. Yeah.
You know you're old. Yeah, you know you're just old when it's like, sorry, bro, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, we're
that's
just-
why
Buy a
it
new
still
one.
works. See, that's
Yeah.
why it still works
Uh-huh.
because they don't. It's lost technology to the
Yeah,
NSA.
planned obsolescence.
Yeah, but they can no longer fuck with that. Like it's just too old for them.
Well, let's hope so.
So, Captain Kickass, maybe you can, something I've wanted to know and is how
Ask
did
me
you
anything.
become Captain Kickass? Like, what is
Oh.
the origin story?
Sure.
Great question.
So in my early 20s, maybe mid 20s, like 1996, I moved from Minneapolis to the Seattle area right around the time the whole grunge explosion was sort of at its peak. And so I thought, well, I'll go to this city because I wanted to make music. I just got out of a school called Music Tech for audio engineering because I wanted to be like, a record recording guy, maybe a producer, that kind of stuff. And so I went out to Seattle, and I moved with like 3 other dudes, 2 from Wisconsin, 1 from Minnesota. Maybe it was 2 of each. I don't remember. But we all moved basically from the Midwest out to Seattle for music. We rented a big ass house, as you do. And we had to wait for the moving truck to show up with like the second half. Like me and my friend Brett, we motored out there by ourselves with a U-Haul. And then later on, a couple other dudes showed up, and we still had to wait for like the moving truck to show up. So anyway, it's move-in day. We're all four dudes in and out of the house, as you do when you move. And I'm bringing in like this tower speaker. That's how old I am. We had, stereo system with tower speakers for the living room. And I'm bringing it in, and I turned to set it down, and I just knocked over my friend Jake's beer that was on the coffee table, like kind of in the way as I swung the speaker around. And he goes, "Way to go, Captain Kickass. You spilled my fucking beer." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, dude. Let me get you another one." And he meant it as an insult, of course.
Yeah.
Some years later, not like maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, I'm on this the old school forums. They used to have this thing in Seattle called SeattleMetalOnline.com, and it's where all the heavy metal musicians would go to, like, hey, who can get me a gig, and do you know any promoters over here, and who does photography, and sort of a networking site. And so the first rule of the internet, of course, was don't use your real fucking shit on the internet, right? Don't put your credit cards out there. Don't be telling people when you're taking a vacation. Don't use your real name. Everybody had pseudonyms on this website. And so I just used Captain Kickass because it popped into my head. It was fresh off my friend Jake insulting me. And I turned the insult into a legend, apparently. I'm not, like it just sort of became, right? Once people started calling me that, then I started to like kind of have to live up to it from time to time just to like,
Yeah.
So you've had to kick like a lot of ass since that time, right? Like not just kicking ass, but be the captain of kicking ass, right? which is like as a leadership role.
I'm not the captain of kicking ass, right? I'm just captain, and I happen to do things that kick ass from time to time. Okay. So it's not that like I'm going out like looking for fights, and so despite my gruff exterior, I'm a reasonably peaceful guy, right? Non-aggression principle and all that kind of thing. And usually it takes people like 5 minutes after talking to me to go like, oh yeah, that guy's pretty tame. So, but yeah, people assume all sorts of things about me when they see me. It's just that like, the bald head, the big ass goatee, like it's just the best I could do, you guys. So that's how I look now.
Seriously, right? Like that's the best we all can do. Look at us.
I mean, I still think it's pretty kick ass, but like,
very good.
It's quite the.
Now, how did you end up on Free Talk Live? Now, I don't know if they. Since I was late, I kind of missed your proper introduction. But did they go over? Did you guys go over the Free Talk Live? And
yeah,
how long were you on Free Talk Live?
Oh, that's a great question. It was. I'm calling it 5 years. I think it might have been like a month shy of 5 years. And it started. I'm gonna say relatively. So like 1 week I was on a Tuesday, and then like I think a week went by before I got a call again, and then. Next thing you know, I'm on Saturday night with Mark and Ian, and that was like the sort of the the rotation, and I'm like, looking around, how did I land the Saturday night slot there? Free Talk Live has always had this rotating cast of like people coming in, coming out. Ian's not big on guests, but he will have guests on live in the studio from time to time. And so I'm like, how did I end up here? So
because you kick ass. Duh.
Well, I just tried to like not be Mark and not be Ian. And in fact, somebody said, this kick-ass guy is all right. He's not quite Mark, but he's also not Ian. He's somewhere in between. And I'm like,
So the haters that could find someone to like in the show now.
Or somebody else to hate, depending on, my opinions or theirs. But I was actually, one of the things I think that, might interest the rest of y'all. Bab, I think you already know this, but I was one of the hosts at the time of let's call it the latest raid of the FBI. So I wasn't on the night before, but I was scheduled to be on the following night. So the night after the raid, I was already scheduled to do the show. I slept in late that day. My phone was blowing up text wise, but I slept through that. I didn't really even know the raid was happening until Richie Rich, one of the part-time hosts, he's still on Free Talk Live, he like called me. So like my phone physically rang instead of texted me, right? And so, I leapt up out of bed and I motored on into Key, and I couldn't get anywhere near the studio. So I ended up hanging out over at the Mighty Moose Mart, which was also raided.
This is while the raid was happening still?
Right. Yeah. The raid was going on at the studio, and it was also, there was part of the raid was also them raiding the Mighty Moose Mart, which is a convenience store owned by a sometimes host, Chris. And so they raided that. They literally had to, I don't even know what the right word is, remove, they thought they had to remove the safe from the convenience store. And they yanked it out of the ground. They didn't loosen the bolts and that kind of a thing. They yanked it out of the ground. There was some damage.
I'm surprised they didn't just bring in enough explosives to just take it, it
was so weird. There were a bunch of, let's call them activists, Keeniacs, who showed up at the Moose Mart because they also couldn't get anywhere near the studio. And so everybody's got their cameras or their phones out there filming the whole damn thing. One of the guys is constantly just yelling at all of the cops, like, I know what you are. You guys are a bunch of fucking tyrants. You got no, just giving them the business, man. And
good.
God bless his heart. You'll see him in some of the video footage if you see any of that, like over at freeiannow.org. There's some of the raid footage over there. I used some of the raid footage in a music video, and I posted that over at CaptainKickass.com. I made it actually I included a bunch of Porkfest people in that music video. What we did is when everybody gathers for the picture at the end of Porkfest, I brought some microphones out and I made some big old cue card signs, and it just says, "We will not comply." And I started holding those up and chanting, and I got the whole crowd, 3,000 Porkfest motherfuckers to chant, "We will not comply," over and over again. And I put that at the end of a song. And then I made a video about it in which I used the footage of the raid combined with myself. I showed up to the Free Talk Live studio one day when it wasn't my day to be on the radio with just a guitar. And I'm standing outside on the front porch, acting like I'm jamming along. And there's no sound or anything. So the neighbors are like, what's this guy doing on the front porch with a guitar and no sound of any kind or whatever. And we edited that into the video, but we used the same camera angles, the security cameras, as the footage of the raid. So it all just sort of plays into itself.
Oh, that's badass. That's awesome.
I was pretty happy with it.
That's literally called monetizing your enemies, to the extreme, right? Use their images in your music video.
Well, except for the money part, that's all 100% true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did that answer your question? There was a question in there somewhere.
I thought it was going to be some kind of radioactive spider or something, but that's good too.
Yeah, I'm a little more like Batman, where Batman doesn't really, he's just a dude. He's a wealthy dude, but he's just a dude, really, at the heart of it. He doesn't have any special powers. He didn't get bit by anything.
Just had a rough childhood and billions of dollars.
Trauma.
Yeah. So I'm just like that, except without the billions of dollars, and instead of a wealthy, business to like leech off of for the rest of my life. I just have some guitars.
Very good.
So what's the latest with the Ian Freeman case? What was the Babs? You got any updates? You guys talk about the past couple episodes?
Yeah.
Captain,
I
why
talked
don't you
about
give
last
us
week a
give
little
us
bit.
your report? I talked.
Yeah,
We
what did you
talked
think?
about it a little bit previously.
Yeah, I and I did listen to Mark Edge's appearance on the Punk Rock Libertarian podcast this morning when I was having coffee, so I'm kind of familiar with what he presented, and he largely feels the exact same way because I know that was done right before the oral arguments were heard there in Boston. So I'm hopeful but pessimistic. I have no reason to believe the state is going to do anything other than go, nope, sorry, case adjourned. Ian, serve your time and have fun. Like I have no optimism that it's the state we're dealing with. If you don't expect the worst, then you don't know what the state is, in my opinion. So I expect the absolute worst to happen. I'm hopeful based on like what Jacob Hornberger had to say. I read his, I don't know if y'all have had a minute to read his follow-up on the oral arguments and his thoughts on it. He covered the gambit pretty well. I have to say that, man, I fucking hate courthouses. Those things are just pageantry and ritual.
It's like a religion, isn't it? The statues and
All rise.
And I was trying real hard to don't get grossed out, guys, but I was trying to brew up some tea. I ate some things the night before. One of the things I like to do is when I have to go into, a government facility of some type, I like to blow up the John.
Oh, that's
right?
That's terrorism. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't, it just makes me feel a little bit better. If I could show up to a place like that and, before I go, I go, right?
Yeah. Maybe just let a few releases out in the courtroom,
crop dust the prosecutors or something, I wasn't able to do anything fun like that, but man, I just really hate the whole, and it's such a huge building and it's all like, you could tell that they employed expensive architects and, the labor to put that thing together was just, more than any of our houses, cost combined. And you just look at it all and you're like, what a fucking waste.
Mm-hmm.
What a fucking waste. And then, of course, the level of nerdism, if you will, legal nerdism required. Like, I really like this attorney. It's pronounced Gary Arrow. It looks like Guerrero, but it's pronounced Gary Arrow. And he's the nerdier of the two attorneys. Mark Sisti was the guy who defended Ian in New Hampshire in the federal court, but this guy, Gary Arrow, joined him shortly. Gary Arrow was actually Aria's original lawyer, and he proved himself to, have some worth, some salt. He knew his way around.
She did go to jail, unfortunately, though. So
she did, but she did plea, right? So
you call that a win in her situation? I guess it could always be worse.
I'm just saying, as far as like I used to do software Q&A, and you kind of have to know like the interface, you have to know the web, you have to know the app, you have to have some knowledge of the process and procedure. And the part about Gary Arrow that impressed me was his knowledge of these processes and procedures and his ability to sort of go, well, no, Your Honor, and actually at first we have to do this. And like just sort of keeping the judges themselves in check with what the process and procedure should be. And I thought that was pretty fucking cool. And so I really like this guy, and he's a huge legal nerd. You could totally tell that he spends his time navigating the little subchapters and sections and reading the fine print and, getting interpretations and all that kind of thing from different places. And so I like him for that. That being said, I have very little hope for Ian Freeman because he has been railroaded. I think Ian's best hope is to get pardoned. And so if anybody's listening out there and you want to know what you can do for Mr. Ian Freeman, just get on Twitter. If you don't have an account, create one, get on Twitter and start @ing Elon Musk with Ian Freeman's information. Links to all things can be found either at freeiannow.org. There's some stuff on the Free Talk Live website now still.
Plus a
crypto
petition. There's a petition there that everyone should sign and share, because I mean, petitions seem pretty dumb, right? Like I never thought like who really cares about a petition? Ross, the Free Ross petition got like 750,000 signatures. Ross is out. And I got to believe that if you can, I think it's got to be just part of the process. You have to be able to demonstrate support. Like that's the currency for these scumbag politicians, right? So I ask people to please sign Ian's petition. And that, it's freeiannow.org.
Yep.
/petition. I'm pretty sure that's the right URL.
I believe you're correct. It's just because I have no faith in the court system. It has nothing to do with, I'm no legal scholar. I have no grand understanding of the minutia of the law and how it applies to Ian and the, 5 counts that are, or 7 counts that are still there or whatever, because one got kicked out. Like, I don't pretend to know all of that kind of thing because I don't. I'm quite ignorant of it all by choice. I don't want to have to study that shit. You know what I mean? I don't want that to be part of my life, to be part of my knowledge base that I navigate through life. I don't want to know. I already know like little things like.
Yeah, I don't want to fill my head with that kind of bullshit.
Right. Like it's enough for me to go, am I being detained or am I free to go, officer? Right? Like, these are the things I want to know. I don't want to know about, how like the conspiracy to commit money laundering is attached to the actual charge of money laundering. It's like, what the hell is that about? Like, and it doesn't make, the whole thing makes no sense to me from an evidentiary perspective. I can tell you firsthand that every interaction I ever had with Ian Freeman was above board honest. Like, to a point. Yeah, to a point where, like, he was having some problem with something. And I'm like, well, Ian, why don't you just, do this other thing? And he's like, well, because, Captain, that wouldn't be the honest way. And I was like, damn. And like people, my reputation precedes me to some extent in certain circles. And people are like, Captain's an honest dude, right? And so now here's another dude calling me out on being dishonest. And I'm like, damn, dude. So that guy is an extreme honest person.
He's the kind of person that walks the walk.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and he's in jail because of that. Because he wouldn't yield. He wouldn't, he wouldn't do it quietly around, like the dude has always been outspoken, willing to take on unpopular causes, willing to, what I mean? Like willing to go to, take it to the mat and, like, wow, it sure made him a lightning rod.
Well, he's a nerd with balls, right? Quite literally, like that's the best way I can describe him. I know Mark referred to him as like Sheldon, but less funny. Actually, Ian's pretty fucking funny from time to time. But like, no, he doesn't have fear of the state. Like he's not afraid to stand up to these fuckers. So that, like, I have the utmost respect for Ian Freeman because, in my opinion, he's a more kick-ass dude than I am. Right. Like it's weird because I got like, I don't know, maybe a decade on the guy or something. So I'm older than him, but I kind of look up to the dude.
Absolutely.
I'm like, damn, man. Like, I don't even know how he came into existence. What set of circumstances prompted, him to exist in my lifetime, but I'm happy for it. He is my friend and I will see him when he gets out.
Well, and hopefully he could get some bail according to Jacob Hornberger. They could give him bail while they evaluate the appeal.
It is possible.
Even if it's unlikely, it is possible. And I would add about Ian.
Ross got out of prison. Anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a pardon is definitely his best shot. Second best shot is the federal government just collapsing and dissolving and being liquidated, which I'm like, if I could choose how this goes down, that would be it. But
I like that option.
To get Ian out quickest, we need the pardon.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Orange Man, okay? Let's talk to him.
Like, in my opinion, how Ross got out was just gaining the attention of Elon Musk, who then put it into the Orange Man's ear. And that's why the Orange Men acted. What I saw from my perspective.
Right. But it all was the Haktua girl that really made all that happen. So,
Angela, Hawk.
There was a lot of people involved.
Angela
who
was in
knows?
there somewhere, but I mean, to me, it's Hawk too, a girl, and Lynn, like that I give credit for.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of people involved, and that was so cringe on social media when he was released. How so many people like, well, I did more, and I did that. Shut the fuck up. He's out of prison.
Just all you're supposed to do is say thank you, Lynn, and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
'Cause
it seems like the libertarian, let's just call them independent media for lack of, and that includes me and probably you guys to some extent. But
Once we get our press credentials.
you just got to make your own, right? I'm with the press. See, it says here I'm with the press.
Well, James, do you have an update on our White House?
Should we save that for the
concert,
after hours? Let's save that for the after hours.
No, I think we can discuss it.
Okay.
I mean, in a way, it's kind of a confession on my part.
Well, hold on. Let Captain Kickass finish his.
Let's finish this.
piece.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the things I noticed about libertarian media, just again from a viewer perspective, I don't know like a ton of people doing media, but in the aftermath of Roth's getting out, I saw a whole bunch of people being like me, and I'm like, God damn it, really? One of the things that I didn't like about my experience in New Hampshire was that amongst some number of libertarians, there's this desire to be more libertarian than the other guy. It's competitive, right? Libertarians apparently are very competitive.
I thought it was more like a challenge to show who's not libertarian enough. Like, yeah, I'm a libertarian, but I support RFK Jr. You know what I mean? Like, well, I'm a libertarian, but I still feel like the Israeli conflict is complicated. You know what I mean? Fuck these people.
Yeah, there's a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a libertarian, but we got to do something about the border.
We do. Deport them all. Okay, send them back.
I mean, like
Too many of them.
I've called myself anarchist, and I still think that the correct definition of that applies to me. Are all anarchists libertarian? I think so. I think they meet the definition, but not all libertarians are anarchists, right? There are a whole bunch of libertarians who are, shall we call them minarchists, right?
We call them mincoms here. The minimum amount of communism.
Mincoms.
In fact, we have one that regularly is a member of the show. We bring him on just to contrast libertarianism with totalitarian min communism.
As you should. That's a new portmanteau for me, mincom, right? Like I'm into creating new words like techniculties. I take credit for that one.
Techniculties.
Right? Yeah, it's technical difficulties, but now it's just one word. You cut the words in half, and now you've got techniculties. Mincom is a portmanteau. It's
What was the one you came up with at dinner the other day? It was like a narcogram or something. No, what was it?
Oh, it was. Was it an anarchist singing telegram or something?
It was something really fun. Anyway,
Yeah.
You do have a talent there.
Thanks, man.
I don't know why I just switched our fucking screens.
So all kinds of crazy shit's been going on this past week, right?
Yeah.
And we got Doge. Okay, Doge is out there. I'm not sure what's up with Doge, but it really seems to be pissing off people I hate. So
have you seen the Doge tracker?
There's a Doge tracker.
Yeah.
I think I did hear something about that. Like,
I
do you guys
shared
have
that
any
in
good
our little
Doge
chat.
stories?
I know they entered the IRS building today.
So here's the Doge tracker. They claim that they have saved $45.47 billion.
What does that mean?
It means it gets to go to Israel.
They saved it. Like, what do I get? Like, are
Do I
like
get a
tax
reimbursement?
victims going to get a rebate? What are we talking here?
Exactly. Well, they even say it's like $303 per taxpayer.
Okay,
do I-
cool.
When do we get the check?
Yeah, right. Oh man, I was alive and living in Minneapolis, Minnesota when Jesse the Body Ventura was the governor, and I received what is known as the Jesse check.
How
So
so?
So his Minnesota has state income tax, sadly, but so I had a job, I filed my taxes, whatever. Jesse gets in, and he balances the budget immediately his first year in, so much so that there's a surplus of money left over at the end of the year. And all of his aides are like, well, you should put it over here for this or spend it on that. He's like, wait. No. Where did this money come from? And they're all like, well, from the people. And he's like, well, then we give it back to them. And so I got it was like $250 or something, but this is in, I don't know, 94 or something, right? So I'm
that's like
a lot of money.
$2,000 back then.
Hell yeah,
1,500-ish. I don't know. Probably
it was, more than half of my rent at the time. So I was pretty stoked.
He forgot the Ferengi rule of acquisition. Once you get their money, you never give it back.
To be fair, I think I have equated ANCAPs to the Ferengi because, the bars of gold latinum and, that kind of thing. There's some similarities right there. But I don't think I've ever heard them in a metaphor such as yours, James.
There's a lot of good rules of acquisition to remember.
But wouldn't it be awesome if, hey, instead of stimulus, here's just your Doge check, right?
Yeah.
Or your Melania dividend.
I don't think any of that's going to happen.
Dividend.
I also think that, this whole bit like big balls, right? All that kind of thing.
Okay, what's the deal with big balls?
That's just showmanship, man.
Memes. I'm intrigued. Yeah. Who's big balls? Can we get him on the show?
He's like some 17-year-old hacker or something that Elon is put in charge of Doge, apparently.
He's like anti-Semitic or what's his? Who isn't?
You guys have seen Office Space, right? This kid he's one of the Bobs.
Yeah.
Right? He's totally one of the Bobs. 19-year-old
kid. What would you say you do here?
Is this like, does he have one of those like bussin' no cap haircut kind of thing?
Yes, he does.
The broccoli hair, the broccoli head.
We have yet to find out if he celebrates Michael Bolton's entire catalog.
Yeah. Well, so what do you guys think? Is this Doge thing? I mean, we've seen. I mean, I remember the Reagan revolution was going to slash everything, and then we had Newt Gingrich. Remember Newt Gingrich's contract on America?
Never happened.
And they were going to slash everything. You know what I mean? So this coming in and we're going to slash everything business. I've seen it a couple times before, and I've never seen anything actually slash.
I won't be impressed until they start taking apart the Department of Justice and the military. Right? Then I'll believe. Right? Until then, it's all show.
How could they do that and not just get their heads blown off?
Maybe that's why they're not doing it.
I'm open to the idea, but how does this?
So this is separate from those two things, but there's been talk of letting Ron Paul audit the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
Elon's been talking about this.
Who cares about auditing the Fed? Like, really? We're all going to audit it?
Well, no. Now they're talking about nationalizing the Fed.
That's even worse. Okay.
I don't know who said nationalize. I've not heard that.
Dude, yeah. Right. I'll pull it up.
For us, it's not enough.
But let's just give Congress the ability to just print whatever they need whenever they need it, and stop going through all this.
They already can do that.
Central banks and this and that, and the rest of us, and we'll just stack sats and pretend they don't exist.
I'm with you, Beb.
I don't know. I think this Doge is more for the normies, and it's finally exposing them to everything we've known about for decades, that this whole thing's corrupt, and really exposing. I think this is more beneficial to normies to eventually come our way. To eventually,
maybe. I just posted a link for a good one. It's not that was from Reuters paying for what they call LSD. Did you guys happen to see this?
Lead singer's disease?
No, this is a contract from the Department of Defense, and if you want to pull up the screenshot of that, I can read it. It's millions of dollars that went to specifically. Let me see if I can find the name for it.
Oh, what
the DOD?
All this, dude. Did you just put a virus on my computer?
Oh no. USAspending.gov.
There was it looks different than it did on my mobile device. Okay, this is where description: active social engineering defense, ASED, and then large-scale social deception, in parenthesis,
Oh, here we go.
LSD. This is literally a contract for large-scale social deception from the Pentagon to Reuters.
For
Okay,
$1 million.
it's more than $1 million.
Oh,
It's,
there's like a few payments here.
oh yeah, it's like tens of million.
Oh, all of
Anyway.
this is. Oh, all of this is. Okay. Okay. Damn.
Now, I mean, shouldn't some heads be freaking rolling? How does Reuters even like walk around like they're something less than a prostitute at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. It's all.
How could you possibly read a Reuters article knowing that the Pentagon is paying them for deception?
Like there's this knee-jerk reaction I think maybe we're all having where like regarding all this Doge stuff and then seeing stuff like this, how ridiculous the numbers actually are, because we've been talking about it for a long time, but none of us really had any idea like what actual numbers were. And so now for the first time we're seeing like what the numbers were, how much is going to bullshit, how much is being laundered, and how much is supposedly going to this, that, or the other thing, and now we're all tempted to be like, we were fucking right, which we should have a moment to be like, yes, look everybody, we were fucking right, but we can't let up, we can't relent, and that's the fear that I have, right? Because
my fear is it's a limited hangout, right? Get everybody mad about the Peruvian transgender puppet show, right? Like, and then meanwhile, like more billions are flowing to Israel to clean out Gaza. Like,
Right.
oh look, like look at this piece of shit thing. Look at that piece of shit. They could distract us all day long with 5 million here, 10 million there, like for the dumbest shit you could possibly
And right. And
imagine.
does that even like come close to the amount of money that's flowing to like Ukraine? Like,
Absolutely not.
no.
Well, that's over. I had a
okay.
great conversation with Putin the
Like,
other
all right,
day.
you
We
got
had a
rid of the
great
drag
talk.
shows in the libraries, but like you're still like funding proxy wars in like Bosnia. Like
You got to take the good with the bad. I was very encouraged by Trump's remarks about ending the Ukraine war. That sounded better than what's been happening. What do you guys think?
I like what he said today about
Yeah.
how like he was on the call with president of China. Is it Xi? Is that Xi? I don't know, you can never-
gee.
Xi,
Winnie the Pooh.
And Putin, and they were talking about cutting military spending by 50% for all of them and reducing the nuclear. Like he said that we're not going to build any more nukes. This was Trump, and they kind of got them all to agree to that or something along those lines. So that was really
Who's not gonna
promising.
build any
Let me
more
guess,
nukes? The
though.
US?
It doesn't
We aren't.
apply to Israel.
Wow, nothing applies to Israel.
Yeah, the United States is going to be cutting its nuclear stockpile in half, and the half will be going to Israel.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit. You guys had time or found it like relevant to listen to anything Trump had to say today? Like I was busy listening to you guys this morning, the episode that Mark was on, but I didn't
It's
find
all
it in my
over
day
X.
to like, that's how much hatred I have for like politics is like I go out of my way to not watch shit like that.
Well, you have to because you'd go insane. But what I do is I just check the relevant memes because I still want to know what's going on, but I need it safely filtered, like welding goggles. You don't just stare at. Like it's got to. I need it
You
to
can't
be
look directly at the
safely
eclipse.
processed.
You have to like wear the special
Here's a clip. It's 50 seconds long, Jar, if you want to pull it up. But this was to what Otto was talking about. This is what was floated out there. So whether or not, I don't know. There are white pills. I'll take them. And yeah, I do agree. Yeah, it might be a limited hangout, and definitely got to keep the third eye open. But this is promising. Listen
we
to
have
this.
the greatest military equipment in the world. We're building it. At some point, when things settle down, I'm going to meet with China, and I'm going to meet with Russia in particular, those two, and I'm going to say there's no reason for us to be spending almost $1 trillion on military. There's no reason for you to be spending $400 billion. China's going to be at 400 billion. We're at $1 trillion. We're going to be at close to $1 trillion. And I'm going to say we can settle this on, we can spend this on other things. We don't have to spend this on military and I'm going to be meeting with
What
China.
other things are we
we were
spending
trying
it
to de-escalate.
Our fat check we're going to get when the Doge audit's officially over.
Russia had agreed.
Spend it on my
Those
vacation.
fat stimmy checks, Jared.
We had a rigged election, so that never took place. But this one was too big to rig. We won by so much that it was too big to rig.
Too big to
rig.
rig.
Greatest military.
Well, I have to say a couple of things. One, he's far less orange than I remember, or at least, on this particular clip, they got the lighting right, or they, figured out some other shade of whatever that dirt is they put on his face. But then the second thing that immediately stands out to me is, are they using actual cotton candy for his fucking hairpiece now?
It's very useful.
Yeah, it's a little.
I'm like, man,
I
that
think
thing
it's
is.
like now it's actually his real hair. I think before he had on like a toupee or something, right?
I mean, usually once you got a toupee, it doesn't go away.
Yeah, who knows? But I don't know. White pills, I'll take them. It's promising.
I just posted a link for a federal program. I'm wondering if Doge is going to take a look at.
Cybertruck.
This is paywalled.
Oh no!
Oh,
Gotta
Can
get
you at
behind
least
it.
see
Show the
we can see
headline?
the headlines.
You guys know how to get around that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
that up right now, but
State Department plans $400 million purchase of armored Tesla Cybertrucks. Oh,
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Oh,
now,
geez.
I mean, like, first of all, let's just sit back and just say how fucking cool an armored Cybertruck would be. Okay,
I saw an all black Cybertruck today for the first time.
with the wrap. Oh, they look so much better with the wrap. I just love the idea of an armored Cybertruck, but the idea of the federal government buying $400 million of them. Meanwhile, remember, all these tariffs against Mexico, China, and Canada to block other competitive automakers. Like, somehow this is really working out for Elon Musk. And
Well,
now
yeah,
on top of his carbon credits and his military spy satellites, how about $400 million for Cybertrucks?
well, that's the irony of Doge. Is like this guy's been the biggest beneficiary of government subsidies of like any quote unquote capitalist in the last like 20 years. Like I think it was like, I don't know what it stands at today, but I remember looking at like Tesla's like bottom line and everything, like their revenue was like 90% like carbon credits and shit. Or just
It's
like
it's ridiculous. I mean, but the funny thing is, notice where like the haters like hate him like they hated Trump, right? Where, like it's reaching like a fervor. People are getting their Cybertruck
yeah.
vandalized.
As a comedian, I had to laugh at this, but they're calling the Tesla cars now swastikars. Speaking
Right.
of portmanteaus.
But meanwhile, nobody's criticizing him for his military contracts. Nobody's criticizing him for. I mean, I'm guessing he's
you're
going
right.
to get shit over this Tesla Cybertruck thing. Nobody's saying, "Hey, what about those tariffs giving an unfair advantage to Tesla?" Like they just want to be like, "Oh, he did a Nazi salute." They should be pissed because he said that Roger Vere's not getting a pardon. Not that
Right.
guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm pissed about, really, to tell you the truth. That response of his, membership has its privileges. Go fuck yourself. It's not a membership. Show me where I fucking signed up.
Yeah,
You
if it's
know?
a membership, where do I revoke my membership? How do I unsubscribe from
do I
your
leave?
service, sir?
Yes, I'd like to unsubscribe, please.
Well, speaking of subscribing, you guys,
Ooh.
something you should subscribe to is our Patreon. So I think that's about it for our free show. We should probably take it on over to our After Hours podcast, which we're going to record right after this. If you guys want to stick around and check it out, go sign up for our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. We'll send you a live link, and you get to comment in and as we talk live. And you also get access to our back catalog of episodes, several hundred of them now. But so let's go on and do that. Captain Kick,
can I interrupt you?
Join us.
Let me
Yeah, I'm
interrupt you
happy
for a
to.
second.
And, thank you guys for having me on today. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to meet you all.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome
James.
to have you. Let me just interrupt. And I just wanted to say, like, our Fed level Patreon
Yeah.
right, hasn't really panned out, right? So
No.
I'm suggesting we rename it Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast Pro. Okay. This is what Politico did, and they got millions and millions of dollars of federal subscriptions. So what I'm thinking is we will have Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast Pro, and it's $10,000 a year. And what do you guys think? I think it's a way. It could be a way to really finance what we're doing.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Work for Politico.
Yeah.
Could do it.
But I don't know. Is USAID going to be able to funnel their money through us?
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably why we haven't gotten our Fed level. We're probably screwed.
Yeah.
No more of that USAID money left. Yeah.
After Doge gets through with them, they're going to be really hit up for cash. Let's make it, instead of $10,000, $9,998.75. Right?
Okay.
Like, because
there you go.
Because there's going to be a little bit of a cut.
Yeah, we should. Brandon's right. We should name it our USAID tier.
Well, and 1% of it will be used to feed some children somewhere.
Yeah,
I got children. They need to be fed.
We'll feed Otto's children. McDonald's.
The rest will be used for regime change.
Yep. So come join us over there, and you can find other ways to donate to our show over at prlfans.com. We also have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. Use the code PRL or PRL Podcast. You get a 10% discount. If you use the code PRL2, you'll get a 20% discount when you spend $50 or more. Until next time, live free
or die.